lately. So let's go ahead and start in Hacienda Bambusa. This was, I was scouting in Colombia when I was at Geographic Expeditions in 2008 and found this place, and I fell in love with it instantly. And I've been lucky to be involved with them since then. So Hacienda Bambusa is in the coffee region of Colombia. Kind of the main coffee growing valleys in Colombia are in between the major cities of Medellin and Cali, the super long valley. And then the two main towns in that area are Pereira and Armenia. Hacienda Bambusa is closest to Armenia, so that's how you get to it. It has a really good connection, actually. They have, I mean, up to 10 flights a day coming from Bogota. There's a few flights a day from Medellin, and then they have international connection from Fort Lauderdale. If anybody's willing to fly Spirit Airlines, it's mostly because all the Colombians that live in southern Florida fly down here to visit family. But then there is service from Panama City. I think it's 3 or 4 times a week. There's a direct flight from Panama City into Armenia, which is fantastic. And that particularly, if people are looking to do like some beach time or something, like at Isla Palenque in Panama, combined with something cultural and adventure in Colombia, it works out really well. Once guests have arrived at the Armenia airport, we pick them up, and it's about a 35-minute drive to get to Bambusa. The one unfortunate thing that we don't have air connection with is that Armenia does not have direct flights to Cartagena, which would be great. The alternative there, you can obviously fly from Armenia to Bogota, Bogota to Cartagena, which is really efficient. The other thing, if you want a direct flight to or from Cartagena, they do operate from the Pereira airport, which is 2 hours from Bambusa. But it's also very close to the town of Salento, which I'm going to talk about here at the end. So that's your options if you want to connect this directly with Cartagena in an itinerary. The coffee region, for me, I feel it's one of the most authentic areas in Colombia. You know, obviously, Cartagena, everybody wants to go to. Bogota is a given because most people are flying in. Medellin is a fascinating city, but when you get into the coffee region, to me, it's kind of the heart and soul of the country, the agrarian side of it. It's lush, it's subtropical year-round, and they have like 2 different kind of rainy periods during the year, but they receive significant rainfall throughout the year, obviously, to support all those crops. Most of this area is coffee production, but what's unique about Bambusa is different, that they don't produce coffee at Bambusa. It's mostly cacao, and then now lemons as well. So it's kind of an outlier in terms of agricultural farm in the area. So Bambusa is a very small property. This is very traditional construction in the coffee region, adobe, red roof tiles, and then lots of bamboo. That's hence the name Hacienda Bambusa, because it's mainly a bamboo structure there. Super small property. This is the pool outside. There's only 8 guest rooms, which I'll get into. One of the most exciting things that happened for us over the pandemic was actually the team from the Disney creative team came to Colombia when they were producing the movie Encanto, and the creative team came and stayed at Bambusa as their base area to gain inspiration for the cartoons. So as you can see this picture here, this is actual Casa Madrigal in the Disney movie Encanto, which is exactly framed off of the structure of Bambusa. So we got a lot of traction out of there. So there's tons of press out there, and we've had a lot of families. You know, those are particularly families like mine, where I have young kids, and I've watched that movie like 6,000 times. Families are fired up to go to Colombia, and the kids get to be like, I got to stay in the actual Casa Madrigal. So we've got some really cool images here just showing the scenes from the movie and what it looks like with the architecture of it. As far as the management of Bambusa, it's actually owned by the Montoya family. A lot of you may be familiar with Juan Pablo Montoya. He's a very famous Colombian race car driver. That's a family that owns it, but it's been managed for, I don't know, now 7 years or so by Diego and Olivier. Olivier is a French guy that ended up in Argentina, studied hospitality in France. He was actually the general manager of a Relais Chateau property in Argentina called Estancia El Colibri. Some of you might have dealt with him in the past there, and he worked for a DMC in Argentina. And then he met Diego, who's from Cali, Colombia. And so they're business and life partners together. And they live right near Bambusa and have been managing it for 7 years and have done an incredible job. So the kind of vibe with Bambusa, is what I call it, is that the son of the Montoya family that owns it, he's a very famous modern artist. So you have all of his bright, modern, really colorful art combined with this kind of rustic farmhouse of what Bambusa is. So it's just like, to me, the unfortunate thing you can't see in these pictures is hearing like just the incredible cacophony of bird calls around here. It's just a lovely, lovely setting. It's open air, completely open air structure, and year-round wonderful weather. You want to be outdoors, so there's tons of great sitting areas outside. All the dining is outdoors. Each of the rooms has its own private patio, so if we have couples, they really excel at doing these like fantastic surprise candlelit dinners around the property at night. Pretty much any guest that comes, they'll do these surprise dinners once during their stay. And then the breakfast area and the dining rooms are all outdoor patio because it's just lovely weather in this area. So we'll just take a look at some of the rooms. There's only 8 rooms in this property, so it's really ideal if we have like a couple families coming, a small family retreat. It's great for groups as well. If you're looking for one place, they want to have the run of the house. This is perfect for it. These are some of the ground floor entry level rooms, and there are 2 sets of kind of connecting rooms. There's 2 rooms downstairs that connect with a lock-off door. And so you see these rooms on the ground floor have the patios that go outside. All the rooms are air conditioning. You can see the air conditioning unit there. This was something that Diego and Olivier invested in a few years ago to put air conditioning in all the rooms, free, fantastic Wi-Fi here. Actually, some of the best Wi-Fi I've ever seen is actually at Bambusa. And again, these are some of the ground floor rooms. And then going upstairs are where the junior suites are located. So each room is different. Each room is unique. Some of the rooms have connections through the outside patio, so actually share patios, or they can be blocked off. So that's one option if you have families. And just some little detail here of the bathrooms with the hammered copper sinks and the beautiful tile in the area, and this very traditional woodwork of the Colombian coffee region that you see of the windows, the screens there. Beautiful, beautiful woodwork that's very typical of the region. These are the junior suites upstairs that are looking out onto the pool. These are definitely some of the more desirable rooms at the property. Hacienda Bambusa itself, it is a working farm. I wouldn't say as the experience is not as in depth as, like, say, we were staying at Hacienda Zuleta or Hacienda La Danesa here, because the separation of the kind of the tourism and agriculture is a bit more pronounced here, but it is around 500 acres. So it's a wonderful place to go on long walks straight from the hacienda. We have an in-house guide, Camilo, who actually, if you know the character from the Encanto movie, it's based off of the guide at Bambusa, and he does a wonderful naturalist walk and cacao tour. So mainly what they grow there is lemons, cacao, and banana. So just going out with Camilo through the fields here to kind of understand agriculture in Colombia and seeing the products is fantastic. We do a chocolate making workshop there, so they can open the cacao pods and see where the source of chocolate comes from. And there's tons of beautiful bamboo groves on the property as well. So there's wonderful walks like down to the river through these bamboo groves, bamboo groves. Fantastic birding in this area. Actually, the whole coffee region from Pereira down to Armenia is one of like the most biologically rich areas in avifauna. So we do have a lot of bird watchers that come to this area. I mean, they can just sit on their balcony, and we have bird guides of Bambusa that they can flip through. Tons and tons of hummingbirds. We have bikes on property, so people can head off and just go bike around. The horseback riding that we offer there is done just adjacent to Bambusa. It's a beautiful horseback ride up and along and crossing these rivers, and then returning to this ranch called Tres Marias, where they do beautiful picnics after the ride with the views over the landscape that they've just been riding in. So there's a lot to do just basing there itself. It's such a lovely place. The food is incredible. The staff is warm and friendly. So it's a great place just to do walks and horseback rides and bike rides around the property, and then some time chilling out at the pool here, looking at birds flying around. So that's great on the property itself. But where we're based, I really feel like this area, why I love promoting it, is that there's so much to do in the coffee region when it comes to cultural immersion, adventure stuff, beautiful architecture, shopping. There's a lot to do within a 2-hour drive. A lot of it's more like 45 minutes or so from Bambusa to get to a lot of these different areas. But just to give you an idea, so we do head off into the smaller villages, and this area is dotted with all these great little small coffee region communities. And there's a culture all its own in the coffee region. All these people that work in the coffee fields or work in the banana plantations. You see these men with these beautiful ponchos over their shoulder, guayaberas, straw hats. And so we take people into some of the more kind of authentic, untouched villages there, like Pijao and Cordoba. And we have kind of connections with people in the town that maybe own fincas outside of it. We know the people who run the pool halls and the bar. And so when we take guests into these villages, it's a very interactive thing of walking around town, talking with, the people, going into the areas where they're buying and selling, the huge sacks of coffee, and seeing that whole process of where people are bringing it to the central cooperatives to sell their goods. So it's a really cool deep dive culturally to do this. And then, of course, one of the major experiences in this area is visiting the coffee plantations as well. Sorry, I'm just making sure that. So visiting the coffee plantations and learning about coffee production of Colombia, where it originated from, the different types of coffee cherries or beans that are there, the sorting process, the toasting process. So you can do the whole farm to cup experience, like you would go wine tasting or something, but stopping off in different coffee farms and really learning about it. And it's really fascinating because, speaking with these people, and they know kind of where, the coffee is so specialized nowadays that they know the exact roasters. So you might be, I can be there and say like, oh, I'm I'm from San Francisco. Oh, they're like, oh, we sell a lot to Equator Coffee, or we sell a lot to Pete's Coffee, this particular bean that goes into this blend. They know exactly where their beans end up in the world. So it's really fascinating. No matter where you're from, these people kind of have a connection to know where their products are being sold and roasted in local roasteries around the world. There's also great things there. There's a great botanical farm there. There's a great zip lining in the area as well. So if you have families that come there, people that want a little bit of adventure, you know, zip lining through the banana plantations is incredible. There's floats down the river there. This is on the Rio de la Vieja, and it was just a fast flowing stream. And this is kind of a traditional thing, the balsajes, where there are bamboo rafts and you float down. And sometimes we'll bring musicians along and coolers of drinks, and you're just floating through the fields on the bamboo rafts. A lovely way to spend the afternoon and cool off. Another great thing, we actually have access. The only commercial hot air balloon operation in Colombia is centered right around where Bambusa is. Amancio is the pilot. He's actually originally from Spain and used to do flights in the Atlas Mountains of Morocco and in the south of Spain, married a Colombian woman and brought a balloon into Colombia. So we actually do flights just straight from Bambusa or nearby if people want to do like tethered flights, or we can do free flights in the morning, and nothing beats that in terms of going and floating above the coffee region at sunrise early in the morning. So this can be like within an itinerary around Colombia, doing Cartagena, Bogota, etc., spending time in the coffee region. People love this area, and you really want to make someone's trip special, have them do the hot air ballooning at sunrise. It is an otherworldly experience to have there. One of the other kind of, everybody wants to go, there's a very famous village called Salento. It's very famous. Obviously, you can see this beautiful architecture. This is a big handicraft town, so it's a great town to go into to see this traditional bright architecture and do some shopping. And just adjacent to the town of Salento is a national park called Valle de Cocora National Park. And this is famous for these wax palms. This is the only place in the world. This is the world's tallest palm tree. And this is kind of they only grow in this like 10 square kilometer area in Colombia. And it's fascinating walking up here. You just feel like you're in, I don't know, the land of the giants. These trees are up to 350 feet tall. So wonderful horseback riding and walking outside of Salento in Valle de Cocora National Park. This is a very famous national park in the coffee region. Which brings me to the development I was going to talk about. Bambusa is Olivier and Diego managed to find a villa there that they are now managing. That's just outside the town of Salento, and it's called La Casa in las Nubes, the house in the clouds. So here's a little map. You could see Bambusa is here just outside the airport in Armenia. And then driving up, these are the different villages we visit: Buena Vista, Pijao, Cordoba. And then as you drive up to get to Salento and Valle de Cocora, this is where La Casa en las Nubes is. So this is a 4-bedroom private villa. It's only sold as a buyout, and it's completely managed and operated by Hacienda Bambusa and their staff and their crew. So this, what you can't see is on the bottom side of this is where the town of Salento is, and on the back side is looking up into Valle de Cocora and up in the valley. So if we do have people that are doing time at Bambusa and then going and spending like 2 nights at Casa en las Nubes as an option, or we have people that just want a completely private home experience in the coffee region, and we can offer this now. And I'm not going to go into super detail about this. I'll send you details afterwards as far as pricing and the like, but they can have their own private chef there. So really just people that want more of a villa homestay in the coffee region, they can do that versus staying at Hacienda Bambusa, which is, I mean, like a home as well with only 8 rooms, but this is 4. So here's just a couple shots of the kind of common areas and the rooms here. So another great option. We just find Bambusa is so popular that we also sometimes do have overflow, the people that really want to go to Hacienda Bambusa during their stay, but we don't have room. So we also are able to offer this as an additional option there. So that was 15 minutes on Hacienda Bambusa in the coffee region. And now we're going to pop up into Barichara and talk about Casa Yahri. This is also managed by Diego and Olivier. Actually, I'm sorry, my dog's freaking out. So this village of Barichara, you might have heard of it recently. It's been getting a lot of buzz. This is known as kind of the most authentic and most well-preserved colonial Andean town in South America. And I've spent a lot of time in a lot of colonial Andean towns, and I can vouch that this is one of the most unique, most well-preserved colonial towns that you'll find anywhere in South America. It's absolutely gorgeous. This is in the Santander province, which is kind of north of Bogota. So in between Bogota and Cartagena in the highlands of Santander is where Barichara is located. So again, you know, beautiful architecture, really well preserved. It just has that kind of straight out of a Gabriel Garcia Marquez novel, where it's like this super slow pace of life. You know, people just sitting in their doorway watching street scenes unfold, when people used to just sit without television or internet or Instagram or TikTok and just watch the world go by. You still find that in the village of Barichara. You know, flower pots overflowing outside of windows. Yeah, people actually having long conversations with their neighbors. It's like going back in time. This town, kind of, as we'll get into how to get here, the reason why it's so well preserved is because it became very isolated. This was a Spanish colonial town that was on the gold route between Cartagena and Bogota. So it was a major horseback route through the Central Highlands, and this was a major stopping off point. But when they built modern roads and modern airports far away from here, the town just kind of fell into obscurity and just is completely protected. So again, just some street scenes in Barichara with the kids in their school uniforms going out on a little walk during the day. You still get around this town by tuk-tuks, which is great. You know, like $1 to kind of go anywhere in town, jump in a ride anywhere. Super friendly village. And again, that same Disney team that based in Bambusa for inspiration for Encanto, they also spent a lot of time in Barichara. Barichara was kind of their Casa Madrigal. It was Hacienda Bambusa, but it was really the village of Barichara where they based the whole story off of. And you'll see from this picture, a real picture of Barichara. This is the scene in the movie Encanto. So it's pretty much that same street. You can see the church steeple there, and how they've created this. So it's a wonderful village to visit. People really want to get off the beaten path and experience something truly authentic, unique, and not many people going there. Send them to Barichara. It's got a lovely year-round temperature as well. While Bambusa is quite subtropical and humid and wet, this is like a dry, warm environment where they are. So as far as getting there, it can be a little bit complicated, but the main airport near to Barichara is called Bucaramanga. Bucaramanga receives flights from basically every major city in Colombia, flies into Bucaramanga. However, the problem is that once you get to Bucaramanga, it's like a 4-hour drive to get to Barichara, even though it's only like 15 miles as a crow flies. You have massive canyons. This is the Chicamocha Canyon, which is about 9,000 plus feet deep. So there's major road. You can see the road here in the bottom right of it, just the zigzags going up and down. So to get anywhere here takes a really long time just because of the topography of it. However, when people fly in the morning and want to drive here, it's a really cool journey because you leave Bucaramanga on your way to Barichara. And when you reach this canyon, certain days of the week, they actually operate this teleférico, which goes all the way from the top of the canyon, all the way to the bottom, and then back up the other side. And it saves like 45 minutes of driving time. And the way we do that is actually have one shuttle or one transfer from the airport to the edge of the canyon. And then the guests actually board with their luggage in the teleférico, go all the way down the bottom, come all the way up to the other side. And then we have another vehicle waiting for them to carry on for the rest of the journey. And actually on that other side of the canyon where you disembark that teleférico, is one of the best places for paragliding, and they're one of the best places in Colombia where they do tandem paragliding flights. So we do have some clients that fly into Bucaramanga, go and do that teleférico across the canyon, which is just amazing. And then they get off the other side, get rigged in a harness and do an overflight, for 30 minutes in a tandem paraglider over the canyon. So like doing it by road, even though it's 4 hours, when you break it up with these types of experiences, it's really cool. You can also charter light aircraft straight from Bucaramanga to nearby Barichara to an airport called San Gil. And they also have helicopter service. So people with a budget, you can fly into Bucaramanga, you can take a helicopter and you can land basically right in the village of Barichara. It's like an 11-minute flight versus a 4-hour drive in a helicopter. But the big news that's happened is that as I said, there's an airstrip right near, it's probably about 20 minutes from Barichara. It's called San Gil. San Gil is kind of the adventure center of Colombia, whitewater rafting, waterfall rappelling, mountain biking. And the province of Santander is really trying to promote tourism to this area. And so they've completed the airstrip there in San Gil, and a local airline called EasyFly, one of the carriers in Colombia, is beginning. It literally could be next week. It could be 2 weeks from now. They're just waiting on some final approvals, but there's going to be direct access flying to San Gil Airport from Bogota and from Medellin daily, which is going to be a total game changer to get to Barichara. So it's really going to open this up. This is going to be still on smaller aircraft. These are like ATR 72s. They hold about 60 passengers, but having this air access to go from Bogota and Medellin to land in San Gil, and then a 20-minute drive to Barichara is a total game changer. It's really going to open up this area for everyone. So that was a little bit about the town of Barichara and the access and getting there, kind of the adventure it can be or how easy it's going to be anytime here with the new flights. But let's take a look at Casa Yahri. So this was actually purchased by Diego and Olivier right before the pandemic. They saw the potential of this town for tourism. And so they purchased this villa. This villa at the current moment, it's only 4 bedrooms, which I'm going to show you, but we do rent out individual rooms for most of the year, whereas in really high peak demand times, we only do it as a buyout, but the rest of the year we do offer just to book rooms into the villa until there's enough of demand that we can only do it privately. And you'll see that the layout of this property, it works really well. Even if we have different couples staying there, everybody has their space, but it's kind of centered around this beautiful infinity pool. This is the main kitchen and living room. And as you can see, there's no doors. The weather here again is beautiful year round. It's warm and dry and sunny. And so it's all open air living here. We can have the chef come in to prepare dinner for people. Breakfast is included, but if they want to have lunch or dinner, they can just speak with the on-site concierge. Her name is Camilla. She's like the housekeeper there, speaks fantastic English. There's wonderful restaurants in Barichara, but they have the option to dine privately here in it. So this is just some shots of the common area. And again, it's all open air flowing out onto the infinity pool and the hot tub and jacuzzi. You can see back here behind to the left is the outdoor dining area. So people can either eat in the kitchen or they can eat there. So again, if we had like 2 different couples and they don't want to eat together, they could have some in the kitchen eating, and then we could have people at the other dining area outside or even at the terrace of their room. This is that outdoor dining area, and really cool artisan stuff here, which I'll talk about, but a lot of it is this fiber, a traditional plant fiber that this kind of chandelier is made out of. So again, just some more shots of the common area there at the villa. And so it has 4 bedrooms. The layout of this is quite well that they're on different levels. This is the main level where you've got the dining room, the infinity pool, the hot tub here. And then you actually have to walk up a set of stairs to get to one of the rooms. You walk down a set of stairs to get to another suite, and you walk down another set of stairs to get down to the other 2 bedrooms. So as I was saying, even if we have different people booked into this, if you're not taking it as a private buyout, kind of each of the rooms has its own private area for people to hang out in. So I'm just going to show you quickly what these rooms look like. This is the Aratoka suite, which is the one closest to the kind of the main infinity pool and common areas. This is its own outdoor private veranda, which we can do dining on, or it's just their own. It's this room's private area to sit. Big open, beautiful wooden doors. And this is the Aratoka suite. So this is a king bedded suite, and it has one of the most beautiful outdoor showers that I've seen in Colombia. So that's the bathroom there. And then walking down one level, you get down. So this is below that kind of outdoor dining area. You get to what is the Chica Mocha suite. This is down a little level, so it kind of looks similar. Pretty much the same size as the Aratoka suite. It's just down one level. The benefit of this suite is that they just basically 6 months ago, Diego and Olivier installed this private plunge pool there. So that suite has its own little private patio and its own private plunge pool just outside of it that's exclusive for guests of that suite in particular. So that's wonderful. And then walking down another level, there's 2 of the more standard rooms. They're called the Guane rooms. And these are 2 rooms that can be twin bedded or can be queen bedded. So often if we have families, this will be the kids will be down in these 2 rooms. They're not interconnecting in a typical fashion. They both have independent access from outside into either of the 2 Guane suites here. So they're just a couple shots of the Guane rooms and a little detail on the bathrooms there. So wonderful place to come to, have your privacy, wake up, have a long leisurely breakfast, swim in the pool, watch the clouds move by. But people are coming to Barichara because there's so much to do in this area. So this is just kind of an overview of the available activities. We have this whole slew of cultural and kind of artistic experiences in and around Barichara. This is a haven for outdoor sports, so hiking and biking. There's tons to do for more action stuff I'll get in and show you stuff. And then even wellness, there's wonderful spas, there's great yoga studios. I would say Barichara, what it has attracted, I mean, international tourism is coming there now, but it's mostly been kind of your more well-heeled bohemian Colombians from Medellin and Bogota have bought little villas there and homes. And it's kind of a place to get away from the world and really immerse yourself in the art and culture. So, but what I kind of break it down as to is that you have a lot of like art and culture experiences in the village, and then you have all this outdoor adventure surrounding the area. I took my family there for an entire week, and it was one of the best trips we had, and very rare that we just go and stay someplace for 6 nights. One of my kids is really into art, and one of my kids is really into action and adventure. So it was a perfect place that we could do one of those activities each day. So everyone's happy, plus tons of time to just chill in the villa as well. But in terms of the village, it's a real haven for artists. and producers. So weavers, this is actually a paper making workshop that's in the town of Barichara. It's been there hundreds of years. We can have people go in here and you do like a 2-hour paper making thing, from taking the fiber to pressing it, making your own books and everything. It's a really cool experience and just a beautiful building in the paper making workshop. There's ceramic workshops, there's weaving workshops, there is painting workshops. So there's all these there's these things that you can make, like a paint with different minerals and clays. So there's all this variety of really cool interactive art and culture experiences in Barichara itself. And just to wander around the village and watch life go on is beautiful. And then as soon as you leave the little village, you have these canyons surrounding you. So there's incredible hikes to do straight from Barichara. One of the famous ones is you leave Barichara and you hike down about 6 miles to a village called Guane. On the old Spanish road, it's called El Camino Real. It was the old horseback trail. And you can just hike that down to the village of Guane. And then once you're in Guane, we'll radio and have one of the tuk-tuks drive you back up to the village here and drop you off. This is actually in the village of Guane, which is a couple thousand feet lower that you can walk to in a couple hours. There's great biking with all of these canyons. You have so much elevation to play with. So we can do long rides. I mean, you can do rides that are full day downhill rides into the bottom of like the Rio Suarez Canyon. And if people are not, super action oriented, it can just all be on back roads, dirt roads, where they're just coasting all day long and have to stop for lunch and then carry on the afternoon to get down to the bottom of the gorge and then drive back up. But there's also little shortcuts between all of the zigzags where there's single track. So people that are really into mountain biking, you have that option. You have a huge mountain biking area in Sand Hill called Citrus Tracks, which is like a, advanced mountain biking course area. There is a lot of coffee production in this area, so you can visit coffee plantations. And then there's other fun stuff to do. This is the Huancuri waterfalls. It's one of the most beautiful waterfall repelling areas in Colombia. Not to be missed. This was super, super fun. It's maybe only like 1.5 kilometers hike up, and then this massive, I don't know, it's maybe like a 400-foot waterfall that you rappel down. This area is also really famous. This is the center for whitewater rafting in Colombia. So you have the Rio Fonce, the Rio Suarez, the Chicamocha canyons. So there's tons of little like individual 1 or 2 hour whitewater rafting trips that are class 2 to class 3. And then there's some more serious like full day stuff that is like class 4, class 5 in the canyon. So there's lots of whitewater options around here as well. I already mentioned it's also a big area for paragliding. So this area is also like the adventure sports capital of Colombia. So you have such a variety between the arts, and then you have the adventure, plus you have this wonderful village and this beautiful villa to call your own. And all of this is expertly, the logistics of all these outings are done by their team at Casa Yahri. So beautiful, catered picnics in the middle of nowhere in between your hike or your horseback ride or your mountain biking. So it's just a wonderful place to go and spend, I would say, up to a week as a getaway. So 29 minutes flat. I did it, and I said I was going to do it in 30, and I didn't think I was going to be able to do it.